to start with, like I said, this program was meant primarily for executives because, um, in word of AI, at the moment in this age, executive has to make lots of decisions. AI is almost shaping every role in industry. I'm sure that's the reason we all are here. So in the next 1 hour, I'm going to demonstrate you, not just talk, but demonstrate you using tools that how at the moment in AI era, we can use these tools for the making decisions in a very productive way. So before we start, let me quickly set a context on who we are. So Regenesys, I'm part of Regenesys. My name is Shivpal. I have close to 18 years of experience in IT industry. I work as an associate director, generative AI strategy and consulting with Regenesys. Regenesis is a global firm, almost it's a group of companies, and the footprint is more than 12 plus countries. We have supported so far more than 5 lakhs of learner. We are engaging with almost 10K plus clients, and we are serving almost 40 plus industries at the moment. So, as I told you that this session is going to be mostly, kind of hands-on driven. So, without any delay, I'm going to switch to certain tools. So, first to start with, let me quickly set some basic, context because I'm hoping some of you are definitely aware about something, but it's always good that everyone, should come on a same page in a very simple, non-technical term. So today, I'm sure most of you have heard about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. These are generative AI tools. So generative AI is primarily an area of artificial intelligence that deals with generation of content. Again, I'm reiterating that the name suggests it deals with content generation. Now, the first question comes into mind when we use ChatGPT or any other tool. As soon as we put anything, right? I can use quickly ChatGPT. As soon as we put anything, you know, how's how's weather today in Mumbai? So you have noticed one thing primarily that as soon as you put a query, it starts generating content. Now this content is, I mean, if you look at it, the first question always hits someone that how exactly it is generating a content on the real time. So the answer is the actually powering engine name is LLM, large language model. Now, if I were addressing a technical team, I would simply say what is LLM? It's coherence of weights and bias, where weights represents the strength between the neurons, while the bias represents the error. It's not going to help at least this forum. So to make it very simple, you please use an analogy that large language model is a machine which is a intelligent. Why? Because this machine is trained with almost all the public data which is available over internet, which means you ask anything, any domain, any industry, it will always respond to you. Why? The very simple answer is because it is trained with such data. One analogy will also help you that the way they process the data, they generate the data, it is exactly the replica of human mind. That's what the data scientists, the researchers has who built these system, that's the concept they had in the mind. Okay, so to simplicity, it is simply an intelligent machine that has learned with almost every available data on the internet, which is public in nature, of course. And once you put a query, it responds you. Now let's think from the main sessions of, like I told you, this main session that I'm trying to address the executives, VPs, directors, who primarily have to make decisions in their organization. Now, how AI can help them? So I will start with one scenario. So think about it that let's say I have a e-commerce company. I'm probably a director in an e-commerce company like Amazon. I launch a product, and now I wanted to understand how my product is, gaining experience, how it is performing in the market, how my actually users thinking about my product, what kind of experience they have. So what exactly leaders do? They simply roll out a survey, and lakhs of people fill those surveys. So I, as an example, I'm going to use one of the, so let's say this is a sample document that has, so this is the document I have. Let me quickly close this. Okay. So this document is a sample survey report where, where I'm talking about these are the earphone models, and customer have shared their experience here. So this is one of the sample survey document. As you can see, it contains as a sample, I just chose 1,000 records. And it is a very generic use case, doesn't matter if you are in any industry. I'm taking example of e-commerce, but if you are working for the banking or any other industries, you have the customer base, you always wanted to understand how our customer experience with our product. Now think about it, that if you have to, now I have a report in front of my customer filled up, what will I do? I have to go through and think that, just consider it as a lakhs of record. Can you really manually go to these records one by one and understand? Of course, it is not possible. Another way is, I think someone can say that, okay, I will try to, draw some pivot or try to use some macros in Excel. That's the earlier way of doing it. But mostly there is a data analytics team. Most of the leaders pass on because they might lack those analysis skills, right? Some data analysis skill. So they, in primitive, they have some data analyst team, they pass on this data. Those data analyst team might take probably a day, 2 day or 3 day to clean this data first of all, to make it data so that it could give some sort of insights, and then probably derive some pivots, and then depending on your ask they will create certain insights or metrics. Nowadays, post generative AI, if I have, as a leader, I have this kind of data with me, and I wanted to understand about my customer experience, I will simply go to any large language model. So for example, I'm going to Claude. This is my favorite. So Claude.ai, you simply launch, it will come up. I simply have to upload this particular file. I'll go there and I will uploaded this report, and I will say, act as CEO of an e-commerce company. Give me top 5 insights from the attached data that could help me to improve my product. Once, of course, it is something which I am putting in a very natural language. And these instructions is called prompting in word of AI. So prompt engineering is one of the most important skill which executive leaders they should have, so that they can talk to these large language models. Now, depending on my ask, it is just processing the data. How big the data is, depending on it, takes some time. So, meanwhile, it is getting generated. Let's talk a little bit about what is a prompt engineering. Why prompting is important for any specific individual to understand, whosoever is working in world of AI. So prompt engineering is not as simple as it looks, that you put anything. It's like when you give any instruction, give it in a very structured format, very specific output you are looking for, then in that case you need to provide a very specific instruction. It is like you have an intelligent intern joined your company, probably from IIT, who knows lots of things, but he will respond you depending on your asks. The more clear ask you will give him, the more clear instruction you will give him, more clearer output you will, that intern will give it to you. The more vague question you will ask, the most distracted generic result you will get from it. Same goes with large language model. We should be very precise whatever we are asking so that we can get a very dedicated result. And now I really want you, I mean, trust me, whenever I'm seeing this kind of result, it really amazes me because I have worked in IT industry for almost 18 years. And I know that how much time I was spending in building such insights, such reports. You can please use your chat option to tell me whether you agree with me or not. That typically this kind of report really takes good amount of time. I can't see it. Probably my colleagues can help me if there is any comments, right? So a moment you could just take a look that I said I need top five insights at the same time. What is my customer experience? So it clearly is there's a thousand, there are thousand respondents who had responded to your survey. Won't rebuy. 51% of the customer have reported that they won't rebuy your this product. Average satisfaction score is 3 by 5, which is a very, I won't say it's very average result, right? Net promotion, promoter score is 5.6 out of 10. Again, not very good. Why? Because what is the problem with my product? Now it clearly says that mic and battery, depending on the comment, think about it, you might have lakhs of comments, which might take a day, entire day or two, just to read those comments and just probably arrange, clean up. It clearly says in just not even minutes, it just took some seconds, and it is giving me an insight that mic and battery are churn trigger. So these two features in my product were the biggest problem why my customer is not satisfied. Same goes with the price satisfaction is a second insights. What kind of range we are offering my products. Then different channels. What are different channels, through which my audience is buying my product. As per geographic, it has given you report, and then finally some recommendation, how can I improve. So that is the first and foremost, mostly the, I would say, that is the biggest use of any large language model for the AI leaders. Decision making. How can we shorten this decision making cycle? How can we expedite decision making for the leaders is the biggest value addition for leaders in world of AI. Is this clear? Any questions before we move to the next use case? Please feel free to chat. That's the reason we are, let's make this 1 hour very, very productive. You might have certain doubts. I'm here to just try my best to sort out any doubt you have in limited window, whatever we have. Okay, Faza, I hope if there is any question, Faza, Vinay, please do let me know. Okay. Now,
Right. If we have no questions at the moment,
fair enough.
we'll share it with you once we have.
Thanks, Faza. So that is the first use case is about data analysis, report analysis, right? Second part is because in order to use these platform effectively, we should know certain nuances. So here you should know that every companies have a very large number of models. Whether it's chat gpt, you go into the chat gpt, you will also see that they have list of models, which is not, of course, not displaying here, but here you could see that they have all the models: opus, haiku, sonnet. So whenever you are using these tools, at least, again, I'm not getting detail into the each and every model, but certain basics you need to understand that certain models are very good for reasoning. So for example, in case of Claude, the Opus 4.7 is one of the latest model, and these models are trained with a very huge amount of data. So these are very good for reasoning purpose. So if you have any complex problem to solve like this one, right, where I'm trying to say I have lakhs of record and I wanted to analyze, probably I would prefer this model. Next use case could be you just want a quick Q&A. You wanted to understand, what are the top three companies, which is good for the e-commerce product. So search for the quick questions. You could use very, kind of haiku 4.5, this kind of model. Because when you choose a model, there are two more parameter that comes to the picture. One is the speed. So if you are using any complex model which is used for the complex problem solving, of course you will see the speed is less because those model takes more and more time to understand your request, to think through, to reason through, and to answer you. So I don't want to use, if I simply wanted to generate, probably draft a email, Opus 4.7 is not right model for you. Then probably I'll go for Opus 3, or I'll go for Haiku. So every model, whenever you are choosing, you need to first understand what is your purpose, and accordingly only you need to select your models. So that's the first use case. Now let's move towards the next one. So again, as a leader, second most, I would say, mundane or repetitive job is to create PowerPoints. Very, very repetitive job. Almost every mid-level or senior level leadership professional has to go through this work, and they really have to spend so much of time in just creating PowerPoint presentation for their, whosoever they are reporting to. So there are multiple tools in the market which really helps in this space. One is the Gamma. So Gamma is tool that allow you to create PowerPoints using different modes. First, you can generate directly by giving prompts. Again, I keep on, so someone who is new for this word, when I say prompt, it is nothing but the instruction. What do you give to large language model? Second is you could use templates. You probably have the predefined layout which you wanted to reuse. That is very helpful, especially you have certain brand for your organization and you want the PPT to use that layout. So you could use this option, or you have certain documents which you wanted to refer and then wanted to generate document. Then you could import file. For the sake of simplicity, I am going to take generate option. I'll go there. I have predefined prompt. Let me quickly take it. So what this prompt says, so whenever I'm writing a prompt, see, these prompts are the differentiating factor why different leader or different member gets a different result. I keep on iterating this part because it doesn't matter if you do a data analysis, if you generate a PowerPoint, if you are going to generate certain reports, it is your prompt that can make a drastic, a huge difference when it comes to reviewing the output. Your response is entirely depend on how clear, concise, and to the point prompt you are providing to large language model. In this example, I'm simply saying act as a top tier AI transformation strategist. I'm defining a role to AI. I'm saying that you are, this is who you are. Now act this role and then create a leadership level strategic presentation on how to grow business using AI. This report is for whom? These are my target audience. It could be co-founders, CEOs, CXOs. Objective, you just clearly define what is the objective of this presentation. Show how artificial intelligence can drive business growth, operational efficiency, customer satisfaction. What kind of expectations you have? You want AI to think like executive level thinking, consulting like insights. You can also give like focus on ROI, and then slide level. When you manually create a slide, you also think, okay, I need a title slide, I need a headline message, I need a detailed content, I need a recommendation, I need certain visuals. So you can define all those things as part of the construct of your prompt. And once it is done, you can simply go here. Let me remove this. Yeah. Then I will edit. So as soon as you do it, it will automatically take this. It will ask you to choose for any specific theme you have. So let's say I'll choose Irish theme. There's multiple themes available which you could choose as per your use case. And then I will generate. So beauty of uh, Gamma is you could see real time how it is generating a content. It will add which is a relative visuals for your every deck, whatever is matters. So it gives you certain statistics also, as you can see here. That's really wonderful. So that's one quick example how this kind of presentation can be built. Trust me, I have worked as a delivery manager, and it is one of the biggest headache I had when I have to draft this kind of presentation. Because most of the time, like in front of you, right, this kind of visuals, this kind of workflow, if I have to create, it is very much time consuming. I need to go, I need to identify this kind of icons, I need to identify where to get this kind of content. Everything is very much kind of laid out, done it for you. So it is totally depending on the kind of layout you choose, and it will just create presentation for you. I hope it is you find it really very interesting and very useful when it comes to your work. You can just apply this from tomorrow itself. Now, once you generate anything, you still have liberty. You could go to the theme, you could still select and modify your theme. You could just, let's say, I can choose this theme. As soon as you choose, your entire presentation will reflect that. Secondly, if you wanted to modify not entire presentation, but a specific slide in a presentation, then you need to go, you need to choose this. But let's say if I wanted to modify this, I'll go there and I'll edit. So there is a this icon that says edit with agents, and you click, then you would say that what changes you want in this card. It will also give you that, be more specific, you wanted to improve the writing, some language you wanted to change, you wanted to add a an image. So you could just give, an agent will start working on it, and depending on your requirement, it will add. So that's how the gamma works. And in at the moment in the industry, there is a one more product, similar product, which is called the Copilot, which is a Microsoft product that also do the same for generating presentation and all. Yeah. So that's how you can create presentations. You can add data if you wish. You could uh, you could but again, before we move to another use case, one very critical element I wanted to highlight here, that whenever you see any presentation and whenever you see any numeric data, it is very critical for you to please go cross check this data. There is a concept in artificial intelligence and world of generative AI that is called hallucination. That system can hallucinate. So let's talk a little bit more about it, because it's very very critical for leaders to understand. Because you are face of business. If you are putting a data in front of your CEO, if you are putting data, you are releasing a report for the end user, your every word has a certain values associated with it, whether it's the monetary loss, whether it's your company credibility. So whenever we are creating such reports using AI or generative AI, it's a very very important for you to understand that what all things we need to take care. The first important thing is validate this data, especially if there is any stats like it says that automation intelligence can reduce structure by 20 to 40% across function. We should always validate these facts using many things. So here you could see there are so many figures that global GDP impact is 15.7 trillion dollars. We should always verify these facts before putting it to anywhere. Now you might see that how AI could make mistake. It is probably Shiv thought. So let me just one of the very widely known example is a Deloitte. I'll quickly show you. Uh, very very, I mean, this example I use almost in my every workshop, because this there is such a gravity associated with this problem, that could really, not just monetary loss here you see, but there is also Deloitte credibility is dented by this particular report. So again, in October 2025, because Gen AI is being almost 3 4 years, a lot of companies started adopting it. So one of the analysts has prepared a report, and he did not verify the fact. So what happened? As a result, that this report contained lots of fabricated information. Those information they share it to the Australian Department of Workforce and Relation. Soon, someone from the client side, they have identified that these are so much of fabrication in the report that they clearly sued Deloitte. They ask for a justification, and Deloitte don't have any justification, because it is all, that's a human error. So if AI is giving any wrong information, It is our responsibility to cross check those facts and figures before finalizing it. And leaders, we call this concept human in the loop, HITL. So, human in loop is very, very critical when it comes to any report, any facts, figures which you are generating from the generative AI, any news or information from the generative AI. So, you need to just always verify those things. Now, before we move further, one quick question coming to everyone's mind that uh, if how exactly we can, what is the right way of using generative AI? What are the things where we should not use generative AI? So, one quick example is if there is any regulation, any policy published by the government or by any government entity, or so you should not use generative AI tool to get those information. You should always ask for the citations. So let's say if I ask here, again I go to the chat GPT, and these informations are very very critical. I provide different trainings for the different banks, credit agencies, manufacturing companies. So the leadership team always asks me that, Shiv, there is always risk around it. How could we mitigate these risks? So I can give you a quick example that if you are simply asking that I need list of policies related to any changes in taxation, for example, right? Taxation. If you are, as soon as you are asking any such request, always ask that give me data along with citation. So as soon as you give citations, it not just gives you the data but also gives you the source where this information is getting published. So if let's say if they are saying that there is a new tax, income tax 2025 effective from 1st of April, old regime was this, it is replaced with this, but where exactly the source of information? So here is a source of information. You could simply click and you can verify whether this source is actually correct or not, and you can just see whatever you are looking for from the actual source rather than what chat gpt or what any other tool which is giving you. It's always recommended, strongly recommended, please go to the source and verify those information. So at the moment I'm actually the ministry of finance website I'm looking, which means that is a source from where all those information is coming from. So whatever information I wanted to vet, I'll vet from the actual source. Hope this part is also very clear. Please ask me if there is any questions, any doubt. I'll be happy to address. Okay, so we were again moving back where we were at the PowerPoint. So the next, which is a very close product with Gamma, is your Copilot. Copilot also gives you the result. They have so always every tool has certain pros and cons. You see the content is very much structured here. In Copilot, you will get a lot of images or well crafted or very real word images you will get, but the structure of the content could be you might find more impressive in Gamma rather than the Copilot. So every tool has certain pros and cons, and whatever I'm saying today may not be hold may not be stands correct maybe tomorrow, because every companies are trying to improve their model. So that is a PowerPoint. Now, so before we move further, again few quick caveats. So we have learned what is a large language model. We have learned what is a prompt engineering at a very basic level, that you have to include in the prompt engineering your the role. You have to give more context. You have to say some constraints are there. You have to, so that is called 6 phase framework. That is a, it's like a 2 3 hour training of prompt engineering which I can't cover here, but all I'm giving you some glimpse of these things so that you could just keep that in mind while writing a prompt. So, and we have learned the model selection, that every tool, almost every tool has a range of models. Those models have a different purpose. You need to understand what is your purpose, and accordingly you should choose a model for your task. You will get a very very kind of very specific results. Okay, so the next tool is Perplexity. Now, what is the main significance of using Perplexity AI? Perplexity is again based out of is I think one of the most famous but India based tool. Perplexity is primarily used for research work because this company has lots, they have enabled lots of research agent which is actually working on back of this tool. So if you have to perform any research, Perplexity is very very handy. Now let me show you one use case which we can use here. So let's take an example where I'm saying that where is my yeah. I'm saying that I am, let's say I'm a logistic business provider. My company is a mid-sized logistic provider. I'm operating in US. One of my biggest competitor is Amazon Prime Air, which is again a logistic company by air. I wanted to understand what is the market potential for the drone delivery. I'm sure you might have heard there's a lot of discussion around the, especially in logistic, that in near future drones are the one who will facilitating the delivery of the stuff from one place to another. Because I am a mid-sized logistic company, I have a very big competitor in front of me, and I wanted to do some research around that, what kind of market potential drone delivery have for the next 3 years. There is a Potter's five force of analysis. It's a way of analyzing things where I'm asking that give me top three strategic opportunities and threats. Let's add here also that along with beautiful visualization reports. Okay, so that's what I'm going now. What it'll do, like I told you, that this has been backed by lots of research agents. So can you see that just for my request, it is going through so many resources. If you really wanted to explore, it has gone through Amazon. So these are all different sources: LinkedIn's, finance.yahoo, fortune leaders, so many sources. It is just keep on exploring. Now you could see that number of sources keep on increasing. So just understand the kind of analysis it is doing, and not in minutes, in seconds your analysis is done. And here is a report. So it is saying that US drone delivery market potential. First of all, it has given you, depending on a market research, it has drive this kind of visual reports, that how it is, how the market is rolling in form of stats. Then second is drone delivery market scenario. This kind of report it has, generated quarters five force intensity. Just look at how closely, how specific the kind of report it is giving. And this kind of research takes days, if not weeks. It requires someone who is expertise in that domain. As a leader, now I'm coming to a very, very important point. Generative AI has removed any technology barrier for me. I have a clear cut objective in my mind. I don't need a market research analyst here. I'm enabled myself with a prompt. I can do this grade of research report, which is a almost enterprise grade of research report. Perplexity is doing for me, and it is giving me reports. I don't need a business or system analyst who has knowledge of macros, Excel, or probably the visualization expert like BI, Power BI. With large language model, I can simply do this by myself as soon as I have data with me. So you understood, right? It has not just shrink the time period of these tasks. That is the first thing. The decisions usually takes weeks of time because these kind of reports also takes time reaching to me. And based on this, I have to decide here what is happening. First, it has generated a market research report for me in minutes time, and now I have clearly indicative data. And also it is recommending, it is giving me insights also, not just report. Along with the report, this is the insight. That is the biggest benefit I have. So no technology barrier, my decision cycle has been smaller, and any skill set with a very basic prompting knowledge, I'm able to perform this job. I hope whosoever leaders are here in this call and who day in day out who need to perform this kind of task, they would agree by seeing these report, whether the PowerPoint, this market research report, or whether the data analysis report, that these tasks you don't have any barrier for any technology expert. You can do it by yourself in a very 1/100th of time which you were spending earlier. So that is one of the crux of this perplexity.ai. Before I move to the next tool, which is a very interesting tool, that is called, which is a Google DeepMind tool, that is Notebook LM. But one thing I really wanted to make you understand that um, we are saying that certain agents are working behind it. So we have a master class where we have the entire whatever use case we are discussing. These are nothing but the tip of icebergs. I am trying to say that in 2026, whatever I'm showing you, it is probably the game of the 2024, 2025. Already there are many organizations who started adopting. In 2026, this is the age of agentic AI. So AI agents are what? How is it different from normal prompting and getting response? We'll come to it probably our end of the session. So let's move to the next tool, that is Notebook LM. You simply go to the Google and you will type Notebook LM. Now, what is a Notebook LM and what purpose does it solve? So far, you have seen whatever tool we are using. What we are doing, we are simply asking questions and it is responding. Now, the response is coming from their training data. Very important question. Please try to understand this. Of course, it's a very long talk. I'm trying to squeeze it in probably seconds. That if AI is an intern, it has learned a lot of things, and if you ask him anything, he is responding you from its own learning. Again, I'm repeating, from his own learning, by recalling his memory, whatever he has learned throughout whatever the projects he has done. But let's say you want him to answer from the specific sources. You don't want him to answer from his memory or whatever he is remember, whatever he has worked upon. You want him to answer from the specific sources which you will define. So let's take an example, that I'm saying that I wanted to grow my business, and the use case for leaders, and I hope you could relate this use case, because probably this thought pop up your mind almost every day. How could I grow my business using AI? Very prominent thought. Now, there are some resources, like I wanted to refer, let me just open a quick video. So this is the video. He is NVIDIA CEO who has almost 2 hours of video that talks about how AI is changing the world. That's the keynote. He was the keynote speaker. He has given this talk for 2 hours. Now I don't have time for 2 hours. I will simply copy the URL of this video. I will go to the Notebook LM. I'll create. So once you log into the Notebook LM, you have this option, create notebook. You will go and you will create notebook. It will give you window like this. Now it is asking you to define certain sources. So what I'm going to do, I'll define 3 sources. My first source is YouTube URL. So same video URL I have given here, I have inserted. That's my first source. My second source is, I will say that, okay, I have a website. Let's say I will take an example of McKinsey website. So this is the McKinsey website. McKinsey is of course well known. McKinsey and Company, very well known in the industry for their consulting. So they again do their own research. So this is their website with lots of research, lots of data. I don't have time to go through it. I will simply copy the URL from there. I go there and I'll add source. I have this website. Again, I will provide link here and I insert. Now I have defined two sources. One is YouTube link, second is McKinsey website. Literally, how much time I'm trying to save? Think about it. 2 hours of video. I would say thousands of document will be probably embedded in the McKinsey website. Still, I'm showing the third source. Again, I'm adding one more source, which is a document. I have certain research report. I'll go there and I'll download this PDF. Third report, 16 MB PDF. Think about it. I have downloaded this report because it might take a little bit time because the size of file is quite heavy. But let's wait for a couple of seconds. So what exactly I have done here? I have defined three different sources, and now it is almost ready for me to talk whatever I want from these three different sources. It took probably a minute for me to choose source depending on how big or small your source is. So this file is very heavy, so it might take a couple of more seconds. But as soon as my source are ready, I can simply say analyze, act as research analyst, analyze all three sources and give me what is best advice to grow my business using AI in 2026. As soon as you, anyway, the third source is still loading, but just to save time, I'm giving my prompt because my two sources are already ready. So as you start asking, probably because it is large language model, which is very smart, it process your request. It has analyzed all the sources in seconds. That is where the smartness, that's why we call it the superhuman brain. It has analyzed all the sources in seconds, and now your answer is in front of you, depending on. And this is not a generic response, let me remind you. This is not a generic response. This response is crafted, carved out from the three sources whatever we have provided. So this is nothing but this is a golden record, right? How much time it is saving me, that I need to watch those 2 hour video. I need to, now I can skip going through the detailed website to understand what stats, what metrics, what strategy they have uploaded. And simply by sourcing all these documents, by providing all these sources, I can ask, and here is my result. You can ask anything. You don't need to ask in any, you can ask in as simple language as whatever you have in mind, right? So who are authors in these sources? Let's ask very generic question so that you'll understand that it's talking very much from the sources itself. So okay, so now here, now this is what, so mostly you can ask, it is like I'm talking to a document, I'm talking to a website, I'm talking to a video. Though everything become a simple knowledge box for me, and I can talk anything and it will respond me. Yeah. So you can see whatever sources we have given, all these who are the author in different sources, everyone name is listed here. Okay, and these names tell that yes, it is pointing to these sources rather than generic knowledge. Okay. Now another very good feature I would like to quickly show you probably in the last minutes, that infographic and mind map. Very useful when it comes to executives, the leaders, because they have to present something that is a crux of every knowledge. If I have so many sources, so much of vast data I have, and I have to just squeeze every information into a one or two pager, so that is called infographic. It is combination of your information and graphics, that is called infographics. So notebook LM, that it also provides you the liberty to create infographics, mind maps, audio, video, reports. You could just do all these stuff also using Notebook LM. And you would be amazed to see that the infographics is actually at a very much refined, structured at executive level. And I, because I've been using Gemini, ChatGPT, many other tools, the kind of response and graphics I have seen in Notebook LM, it's unmatchable. Yep, I hope it would generate soon because the source is much. So yeah, it might take a little bit time. It is the image which is getting generated. So image always takes more time compared to your text because this takes more processing power. Meanwhile, in interest of time, we have just 9 minutes. So definitely I'll show you once it gets generated. So few other things. Let me quickly cover. As a leader, the next most important step is data governance. Data governance is a very critical for every organization who are into the phase of experimentation or in phase of adoption. Almost every organization is trying to adopt AI in some way or the form, but there are some of organizations who are already succeeded to move that into the production, while some organizations are, there is a huge number of organizations that has failed in the pilot level. And there is a detailed Amazon report. I request you, you can go. There is, how organization failed in their the pilot vision. Why? Because they wrong, I would say, data governance was not in place. In organization environment, you just can't upload any sensitive data to any tool. Please make a note of this. It would be a game changer. It is so critical for you as a leader into your organization. You just can't upload chat gpt like you do in your personal life. And even I would strongly recommend not to use chat gpt in personal life to upload any sensitive information. You can ask your generic queries, but don't upload any personal information because these models are getting trained with your data. Of course, there is an option to switch it off. We'll come to it later. In organization environment, the key thing is you need to first draft a policy. If you are executive, if you are the decision maker, the first step for you to draft a policy. What is the right framework for AI in my organization for adoption purpose? What are the different tools which is allowed in organization for employees to use? What are the different documents which is allowed to upload it, or which is still not? As an example, if there is any public policy document, right, your quarterly report, of course anyone can upload, it is a public in nature. But if there is any strategic document, it is not allowed to upload. Third is compliance department. Department level strategies are very very critical for any organization. Banks, because I told you I've been conducting workshops for the banks, for the rating agencies. They are, even though these tools assure that we have enterprise grade security, but still these banks, they don't trust. They say our strategic document is our asset. If it goes out, will be done, will be finished. We'll never let it go into the, because if you upload a document, it goes to their server, like OpenAI server. If you upload to Claude, it will go to the Anthropic server. So the banks has a very very different approach that is called self hosting, where they don't want their data to go outside the boundary of their organization. They try to keep it on prem. So again, I would really request, that Regenesys has different platforms. We provide solutioning service, we provide advisory service, AI advisory, AI solutioning. You can reach out to us, and we can help you if you have any similar requirements. I can see my these two are getting generated. Let me quickly show it to you. So this is infographic report I'm generating. Just look at this. Look at this. What has been discussed in NVIDIA's video, this keynote speaker video, and what has been the sources I have provided. This infographic is generated from that well structured crux of the information. Every 2 hour video is just squeezed into the single page template. This is the infographic. So if you have, you could use this kind of infographics in your executive PowerPoint presentation or in your executive calls. And this is something which is your information. It is not a copyright information. Especially when you define more and more sources, it becomes very specific. Now, second is a mind map. Very, very useful when you wanted to explain this information or present it to you. So you can see all the videos information, the topic, the sources you have given. It has arranged all this information into the hierarchy. So that is apparent hierarchy is a economic, the economic potential and technology future of generative AI. Once you expand it, you will see this. Once you expand, you can see this. So at every level, this information is getting further aligned in a proper structure, which you could use for any kind of executive call and presentations. Again, so because we are, I think we are running towards the last 5 minutes, so I'll quickly run you through. I hope you find this session useful. Again, in last 5 minutes, you have any questions, please ask me. I'll quickly open this report. So we are, as a generic practice, so of course we are a company, we do business. Our primary business, as I told you in the beginning, that we are a global AI transformer. I would say we provide AI transformation services for different organizations. So we are launching upcoming course AI for Executive program. This program is meant mostly for the leaders at different level. So you might be probably a director, associate director, VP, senior VPs, even CXOs, CFOs. How exactly you could enable these programs, and depending on the registration, we will customize this program to fulfill your needs, so that you could adopt AI in the most pragmatic manner. And of course, we'll ensure that those adoption will have the right success. That's what we are going to cover as part of this session. This will be very much customized session for your need. The typical structure of this program contain mostly use cases. Like I told you, you have to go through certain surveys, how quickly you can do. Same way you are very data governance or data driven organization, how you could how you could enable a governance layer. We are going to help you, we are going to explain everything in this program. Whatever tools I have covered, that is just tip of iceberg. Why? Because 2026 is the age of agentic AI. We are going to cover how to create agentic AI. We are going to do certain capstone project also here, you could see. And of course, in this programmer, you will see all kind of use cases which is required by any organization to adopt AI. We also issue certificate for this program. And as our companies is globally, it has a global footprint across more than 20 countries. So this program has its own value. We are not just conducting this for India. We've been already conducting these programs for Africa and US, and we really have very good success, good outcome and feedback. You can get in touch with our caller teams, and they can explain you all those feedback. I'm sure you would amazed to hear the kind of success story we have. So this program in generic, like I said, these are the different modules of the program: AI Foundation for Leader, Strategic and Business Model, Data Strategy and Governance, AI Implementation and Change Management, Tools and Technologies, Ethic, Risk and Responsible AI. How to use AI responsibly in your organization, that is also very, very important for leaders to understand. Leading AI transformation will give you complete roadmap and certain capstone project, which increase your confidence that okay, probably some basic level implementation you can do as part of this program itself. So that's all. I would look, I really look forward to hear from you, about any feedback, any comments you have. And I hope this program was useful for you. So with these words, Faza, any comments you, Faza, Vinay, any comments you have, please add. That's pretty much done from my end. And thank you for joining in such an odd hour post your office. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Shiv. Shiv, we do not have any questions. However, Vinay, if you can quickly check the Q&A portal as well if we have any questions over
No,
there.
no questions in Q&A.
Fair enough. That's great. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good night.